Vol 1ch 44. The couple stayed up for several nights, finally understanding each other's strengths and weaknesses. The average score on the test questions also surpassed 80. If they performed normally, their family assessment shouldn't have any issues. In truth, Risvitha didn't stay up late often. Once it passed midnight, her biological clock would prompt her to go to bed. However, the reason she stayed up late for exam preparation, apart from for the daughters, no matter how tough or tiring it's worth it, was also listening to Leon's past, dark history was just too stimulating. A human's short 20-year life could be both fascinating and abstract. However, looking back at herself in her over 200 years of dragon life, except for childhood, almost every day was dull and monotonous. This monotony permeated her life, especially after becoming the Silver Dragon Queen. However, a bit of joy entered her monotonous life at some point. Did it start with the birth of her daughters? Or was it from Leon waking up? Well, it had nothing to do with tomorrow's exam. Risvitha shook her head, choosing not to dwell on these thoughts. After working overtime for several nights, they finally reviewed all the family assessment test questions from the past few years. Their understanding of each other had deepened a bit. On the evening before departing for the academy, the couple sat at opposite ends of the couch. Leon looked completely drained, while Risvitha wore a solemn expression. The room was quiet, with only the repetitive mechanical sound of a grandfather clock. Moonlight streamed in through the window, accompanied by a faint, cool breeze. Leon couldn't help but wrap his clothes around himself. Rubbing his slightly cold nose, he glanced at Risvitha. She sat quietly on the couch, one hand supporting her forehead with a slight frown. Besides fatigue, there was some significant pressure on her. Having pressure was normal. After all, this was a significant matter, related to whether Noya could successfully enroll in St. High's Academy. Leon opened his mouth, wanting to express some concern for her, but the words stopped at his lips and were swallowed back. After sitting for a while, Leon said, "If there's nothing else, I'll head back." But before he could get up, Risvitha said, "Wait. What's wrong?" Risvitha closed her eyes and asked gently, "You've worked hard these past few days." "Well, it's okay, I'm used to it." "Are you tired?" Leon shrugged slightly, a bit. Risvitha made a soft sound of agreement, and then raised her hand, pointing to the bathroom in her room. "Go take a shower and relax." Leon blinked. "Shower in your room?" "Yeah." "No, I don't want to. I'm not used to taking showers in other people's rooms. Especially in your dragon mother's room." Risvitha rested her head on one hand, her beautiful eyebrows slightly furrowed. There was impatience in her tone as she urged, "Hurry up. After you're done, you can go back." Leon got up reluctantly and then tiptoed into the bathroom. He undressed, turned on the hot water, and warm water sprayed, flowing gently down from the top of his head. Leon propped himself up with one hand against the cold tiles, unable to understand why the dragoness was acting so strangely. She insisted on making him shower here for no apparent reason. He couldn't shake the feeling of discomfort and lack of security. Click! As the voice fell, the light in the bathroom instantly went out. Leon's heart skipped a beat and quickly turned off the hot water. Immediately after, in the dark bathroom, a faint purple glow flickered. Dragon pattern hiss bad. She was indeed the big mother dragon scratching at the door, no good intentions. Leon quickly felt around in the dark and found his clothes, but the bathroom door suddenly swung open before he could put them on. The light from the living room poured in, casting the silhouette of a tall figure. The figure was slender and graceful, with a delicate and charming demeanor. And her chest also shimmered with a purple light. The figure slowly stepped in, and her fair jade-like feet touched the bathroom tiles. Risvitha. Click. She closed the bathroom door, and the light was instantly cut off. Leon could only roughly determine her position through the faint light of the dragon pattern and the sound of footsteps. The glow approached closer and finally stopped in front of him. "Once the dragon pattern resonates, you can't escape," Risvitha whispered in the darkness. Leon swallowed nervously. "So, what's the reason this time?" "Reason? I haven't thought of one yet. I'll figure it out after we're done." With that, she didn't allow Leon to ask further questions, reaching out her arms and embracing Leon's neck. Her dragon pattern gently adhered to Leon's scalding chest, and her long, flexible tail unconsciously entwined around Leon's waist. In the darkness, the sound of water gradually surged, and the skin rubbing against the tiles produced a distinct sound. It was unclear how much time passed. Leon lay in the bathtub, his already weakened body once again drained. Hrisvitha lay opposite him, staring blankly at the water's surface. After a long silence, the mother dragon spoke faintly, "I understand." Leon tilted his head back, gazing at the bathroom ceiling, despairingly saying, "You understand nothing." "I understand the reason for this time." "Your Majesty, I'm all ears." "I'm under too much pressure." Splash! Leon suddenly sat up. "If you're under pressure, then be under pressure. Why put it on me?" Hrisvitha gathered her scattered thoughts, returning to her usual indifferent expression. "There are two main ways to deal with pressure. One is to transfer it, and the other is to release it. Now that I've transferred the pressure to you, I get the release. It's perfect." The queen slowly lifted her slender lotus arm, causing ripples in the water. "You told me before about winning some championships. Now add one more for handling pressure. What's the problem?" "You. Didn't you come over with this attitude a few days ago?" Leon gritted his teeth. "I need a word harsher than frustrating to describe you, Mother Dragon." "I'll give you two: moderate relaxation and a balance of work and rest," Hrisvitha said, stretching her exquisite body. "Anyway, I feel comfortable. Thank you, Leon." After the rain, the air was refreshing, and the pressure of preparation these days had been temporarily relieved. "So, dear Dragon Slayer, are you staying to continue helping me relieve stress, or wiping yourself off and going back to sleep?" The answer to her question was the sound of water fleeing in a hurry, along with the words, "You wait for me, Mother Dragon." The next morning, in front of the temple courtyard. "Mama, why does he look like he hasn't closed his eyes all night?" Noya looked at Leon, who seemed as if, no, not as if, but indeed emptied, and asked. Hrisvitha was clear-headed and refreshed, her face rosy. Greedily, she took a breath of the fresh morning air and lazily stretched. "Mama doesn't know either, Leon. Did you not sleep well last night? Did you not keep track of whether I slept well or not in your heart?" Leon muttered through gritted teeth. Hrisvitha waved her hand. All right, pull yourself together. Today we're going to take the test with Noya." Hrisvitha spread her wings and transformed into a giant dragon. Leon also slapped his face, forcing himself to wake up a bit. Father and daughter climbed onto Hrisvitha's back one after the other. The silver dragon flapped its wings and soared into the sky. When they went for the test this time, they didn't bring Muin along since it wasn't for leisure. Muin obediently agreed to stay home, waiting for Dad, Mom, and sister to return. The three of them proceeded to St. High's Academy without worries. The academy was located in the heart of the dragon territory, a very safe place. Even if all the races joined forces to flatten a dragon city in a day, it would take a year and a half to reach the gates of St. High's Academy. Although the dragon race split into hundreds of small tribes a long time ago, when it came to places like the Sky City and St. High's Academy, they would still unite to defend against external threats. It would take a few hours of flight from the Silver Dragon Temple to the Academy. After some time of departure, Leon recovered from his seemingly emptied state. He looked up at Noya sitting in front. Her face was as icy as usual, but there was a clear hint of worry and anxiety. Leon chose his words carefully, intending to do some final mental preparation for his eldest daughter. He understood Noya's character, ambitious, with high self-demands and standards, so he placed himself and Hrisvitha on the same starting line as Noya. What he expressed wasn't, "Mom and Dad are your strongest shield," but rather, "Mom and Dad will strive alongside you." This sense of recognition was what Noya needed, and Noya's reaction also proved that Leon's mental work was done well. A brief expression of surprise and joy flashed on her cold little face. Although fleeting, her inner self was moved by Leon's words. The father and daughter sat cross-legged, facing each other. Leon raised his right hand, forming a fist gently. "I don't know if you can understand this cheering gesture, but Dad wants to try it." Saying that, Leon extended his arm, holding the fist suspended between him and Noya. Noya blinked, looked at Leon's gesture, and then glanced down at her small hand. Hesitating momentarily, she clenched her right hand, mimicking Leon's movements, extending her arm. Two fists, one large and one small, gently bumped together. Leon squinted and smiled. "You can definitely do it, Noya." Perhaps even Noya didn't notice, but her tail swayed unconsciously twice behind her. She lowered her head slightly, lowering her voice. "Thank you." Noya seemed to want to add something after the "thank you," might be a title or a name. But in the end, she didn't add anything. Only this sentence, "Thank you." Leon didn't insist on his daughter saying anything more. That was the best as long as she could take his words to heart. Lowering his arms, Leon stretched lazily, then leaned back and lay down on the back of Rosvitha, who was in her massive dragon form. After letting her pressure him last night, it was time for him to enjoy a long, deep sleep. Vol 1ch 45. A few hours later, a family of 3 arrived at St. High's Academy. It was strategically positioned for defense in the central part of the mountain range with the same name. Similar to the Sky City, only races with the ability to fly could reach it. Upon landing at the Academy's gate, Rosvitha returned to her humanoid form, holding Noya's hand. Many other dragon families accompanied them, but families with both parents present, like Noya's, were rare. "Let's go inside," Rosvitha said, leading the way towards the Academy gate, with Leon following closely, hands in pockets. They encountered a campus with an ancient design, spacious pathways, and a massive dragon-shaped stone sculpture inside the gate, perhaps crafted to commemorate a dragon hero, Leon. Crossing the pathways, they reached the enrollment office for the young dragon section. Since it was a noble academy within the dragon community, they didn't have to wait long before being personally received by the academy staff. The staff led them to an office where they filled out basic information. Name: Noya K. Melkvi, Silver Dragon, age 1 year and 3 months. The staff read, looking slightly surprised at Noya's age. Rosvitha, anticipating the question, responded, "Well, about the age issue, my husband and I have considered it. We don't believe it will have any impact, and our daughter has no objections." The staff turned their attention to Noya, who sat quietly between her parents, her calm demeanor unusual for a dragon of her age. "Your daughter meets the basic requirements to participate in our school's entrance test. Please take this testing card and proceed to the 4th floor to await the test," the staff said, handing a card to Noya. Noya took the card and exclaimed, "I'm going now, Mom." "Good, best of luck," Rosvitha replied, and Noya hurriedly left the office. The staff then addressed Rosvitha and Leon, curious about her age, but since she insists, we'll proceed. Please follow me to the 3rd floor to assess viviparous families. Leon and Rosvitha exchanged glances and nodded subtly, confident in their ability to handle assessments. The staff led them to the 3rd floor, where 2 families were ahead in the queue. "I'll go inside and register for you. There are 2 families ahead. Please be patient," the staff said, and Leon responded, "Yes, thank you." They settled in, prepared for a short wait. Leon and Rosvitha took a seat on the corridor bench. She lowered her head, her tail involuntarily curling up, hands on her knees, nervously pressing and rubbing her nails. She seemed a bit anxious. Leon leaned back on the chair, glancing sideways at Rosvitha. Since last night, she talked about feeling nervous and under pressure, even lecturing Leon about it in her classic way. Afterwards, she even explained something she had never done before. Surely, she must genuinely value this entrance test. It was a significant matter concerning Noya. Leon pursed his lips, lifted his hand, and looked at the fair back of Rosvitha's hand. After a moment of hesitation, his hand ultimately landed on Rosvitha's shoulder. "What's wrong? Did the stress relief from last night wear off so quickly?" Leon teased. Rosvitha chuckled, giving him a playful glare. She could tell Leon was trying to make a joke to ease her tension. "Your words aren't providing any comfort at all." Leon shrugged. "Well, how would you like me to comfort you? Should I do it more often?" "Go to hell." Rosvitha laughed, playfully scolding him, then shifted her shoulder, shaking off Leon's hand. But this little joke did help alleviate her recent nervousness and anxiety. Rosvitha tilted her head back, took a deep breath, and waited quietly for the test to begin. After about an hour, the 2 families ahead of them had completed their assessments. The staff member who had accompanied Leon and Rosvitha led them into the office. The office was more spacious, and the interior was more luxurious. In the office, 3 elderly dragons with white hair sat side by side behind a long table. The 2 on either side sat with serious expressions, upright and meticulous. The one seated in the center wore a friendly smile adorned with gold-rimmed glasses, presenting a cultured and gentle appearance. The staff member instructed Leon and Rosvitha to wait at the door, while approaching the 3 elderly dragons for a calm conversation. Taking advantage of the moment, Rosvitha leaned towards Leon, lowering her voice. "With your experience, do you think these 3 are easy to handle?" Leon carefully assessed the 3 dragons and concluded, "Easy kills." Rosvitha was shocked. "Easy kills?" He nodded. Yeah, the me before being captured by you could undoubtedly take their heads in 50 rounds. Risvitha helplessly supported her forehead. I wasn't asking about whether it's easy to deal with or not. I'm talking about the assessment later. Will they give us some difficult questions, okay? Leon shrugged. Don't worry, we've prepared well for the written assessment. We won't make mistakes. About 5 minutes later, the staff came over with 2 answer sheets. Both of you please come here for the assessment. There is no time limit, but you cannot talk during the assessment. Thank you for your cooperation. The staff led Leon and Risvitha to a table, asking them to sit on either side of the table. A non-transparent board was placed in the middle of the table. The assessment officially began. Leon looked at the questions on the paper, most of which they had discussed during the nights they spent together. In those short few nights, their understanding of each other had already surpassed that of couples married for many years. So answering questions like these in the test wasn't stumbling for them. It went quite smoothly. Half an hour later, they each handed in their answer sheets. The staff handed the answer sheets to the dean on the left for approval. Please come over and have a seat, both of you. The couple looked at each other. They both saw a hint of confusion in each other's eyes. Hadn't the assessment ended? Why did they need to talk to the school leaders? With a sense of puzzlement, they walked over. After taking their seats, the white-haired elder in the middle introduced himself gently. Hello, both of you. I am Walter Wilson, the vice principal of St. High's Academy. I am pleased to be in charge of your assessment. Hello, principal. I am Risvitha Melkvi, the leader of the Silver Dragon clan, and this is my husband, Leon Casmode. We are fortunate to participate in the assessment at your esteemed school. Principal Wilson nodded. Let's skip the small talk and proceed to the second part of the assessment, the interview. Interview. Principal Wilson smiled with narrowed eyes. Yes, this is a new assessment stage we've introduced at St. High's Academy this year. Are both of you ready? The couple's expressions turned serious. Ready for what? Vol 1ch 46. A couple sat upright with serious expressions, their backs straight, and hands placed on their knees, resembling elementary school students attentively listening in class. However, despite appearing ready for the interview on the surface, their hearts were panicking. While Principal Wilson lowered his head to discuss with the dean beside him, Leon looked ahead, slightly leaning towards Risvitha, and whispered, Should we just kill them? The suggestion you made is not bad, Dragon Slayer, but let's not bring it up again. What do we do now? We haven't prepared anything for the interview. Risvitha closed her eyes, took a slow breath, and exhaled. Let's adapt on the fly. Cough, cough. Principal Wilson cleared his throat twice. All right, gentlemen, let's officially begin the interview process now. Risvitha managed a polite smile. Certainly, Principal. Oh, please don't be nervous. This is our first time trying interviews at our school, so it won't be too strict. Just relax, both of you. The couple exchanged a glance and remained silent. Principal Wilson picked up a stack of papers in front of him and leisurely asked, Do both of you still remember your wedding anniversary? As if thunderstruck, the couple froze on the spot. Unexpectedly, the principal's first question almost killed the competition, but to pass the interview smoothly, Risvitha quickly responded after a brief brain freeze. I remember, of course. How could I forget such an important day? Leon cast a glance at her. Oh lady, we have a child before marriage. Where does the wedding anniversary come from? Leon thought. Risvitha happened to look at him, secretly signaling him with her eyes. Leon was flustered, but he could still tell that this look hinted at something. Although they didn't have a specific wedding anniversary, a day from 2 years ago held more significance than their wedding. Risvitha, it's in the year 1733 of the Genesis calendar. They both said in unison, May 25th. In 1733 of the Genesis calendar, on May 22nd, the Imperial Dragon-slaying army's Leon squad launched an attack against the Silver Dragon clan. However, Leon was betrayed, defeated, and captured during the battle. 3 days later, on May 25th, Leon used the blood pact to unite with the Silver Dragon Queen, leading to her pregnancy. Seeing the couple so synchronized, Principal Wilson was slightly surprised. Just married for 2 years, and your child is starting school quite early. Yes, Principal. Risvitha tidied her hair, taking the opportunity to sigh with relief. So in these 2 years of marriage, have there been any habits or behaviors of the other person that you couldn't tolerate? No, Risvitha responded instantly. Wilson nodded, then looked at Leon. Leon furrowed his brow, pondered for a moment, and replied, yes. Hearing this, Risvitha became a bit flustered. What was this jerk up to? He could have just said no to skip this question. But Principal Wilson didn't know the underlying reason behind Leon's words. He simply nodded approvingly after hearing it. How did you two get married initially? Was it a love match, or did elders in the clan introduce you? The principal asked. Oh, it was love at first sight, then we dated freely, and then... Risvitha looked to Leon for help. Leon quickly took over, then we eloped. We eloped. Eloped? Flash pregnancy. The vice principal was slightly surprised. Eloped, making such a quick decision, it must be a special fate that has kept you two together until now, right? The couple smiling with narrowed eyes. Principal, you're really perceptive. Miss Risvitha, what do you find most attractive about your husband? The shining point on this guy. Risvitha glanced at Leon beside her, pondered for a moment, and then said, focused, serious, intelligent, not oily, responsible, likes children, and rarely gets angry with anyone. After a pause, she added, on a more superficial note, he's handsome with a good physique, but... Principal, just that. So my husband is good at alchemy, and uses various medicines to maintain his health, right? Leon's mouth twitched slightly. He thought that Risvitha was finally going to praise him wholeheartedly, but unexpectedly, she added another twist at the end. So, I also want to take this opportunity during the interview to say something to my husband. Saying this, Risvitha reached out and gently placed her hand on Leon's shoulder. Then looking at Leon affectionately, she softly said, don't push yourself too hard, I understand. You understand a thing. Principal Wilson chuckled with his hand covering his mouth, finding this couple interesting. All right, you two are quite lively in your daily life. Now the next question, what are your plans for the future? The couple regained their composure. Plans for the future, could you be more specific, Principal? Risvitha asked. For example, any plans for a second child? Leon silently covered his face and waved his hand, indicating that Risvitha should answer this question. Risvitha awkwardly smiled. Well, we haven't considered that yet. Actually, we already have 2 children at the moment, Noya and her twin sister. So in terms of planning, we'll focus on raising these 2 kids before considering a second child. What do you think, Leon? Principal, it's already a family of 4, very happy indeed. Thank you, Principal. Next, the principal asked some more questions. Leon and Risvitha adeptly handled the questions, providing answers that were a mix of truth and fiction. As the interview approached its conclusion, Principal Wilson spoke. So at the end of the interview, let's play a little game of truth or dare. Now, you can ask each other a question to which you want to know the answer. If you choose to answer, please give your honest thoughts. We won't force you if you don't want to answer. The couple looked at each other. To avoid potential pitfalls, Risvitha replied directly, I don't have any questions for my husband. I know everything about him. All right, Mr. Leon, do you have any questions you'd like to ask your wife? Leon leaned back in his chair, his hand on his chin, with a slight furrow on his brow. Risvitha looked at him, wondering what question he would ask. Was he implying that she could be more lenient with him in the future, or was he subtly expressing his desire to return to the Empire? It was related to one of these aspects. After a brief pause, Leon looked at Risvitha, meeting her silver eyes, and asked in a deep voice, Do you actually like the teddy bear I gave you? Risvitha was shocked. She didn't expect Leon to ask such a question completely unrelated to their positions and any grievances. Risvitha's pupils trembled slightly. She pursed her lips, adjusted a strand of hair behind her ear, lowered her gaze, and nodded. Yes, I really like the teddy bear you gave me. Perhaps even Risvitha didn't notice Leon asking, Do you like it? But her response wasn't a simple like. It was more like, really like. Sound of a clap. Leon clapped his hands. Okay, I'm fine now. Principal Wilson stood up. So the interview concludes here. I hope both of you have a happy future. The assessment results will be sent to the Silver Dragon Temple by the Dragon of Trust tomorrow. Thank you again for your cooperation. Vol 1ch 47. In the early morning, Nguyen got up. his little brain not fully operational yet, mumbling unclearly from his mouth. "Sister, what should we have for breakfast?" No response. "Sister." Nguyen slowly opened his eyes and noticed that Noya had already gotten up. With a start, he jumped off the bed and ran to the bathroom, study, and hallway, but there was no sign of Noya. Finally, Nguyen went to the balcony, looked down at the courtyard, and found Noya. At this moment, not only was Noya in the courtyard, but Leon and Risvitha stood on either side of her. The three of them, like scarecrows, lifted their heads, gazing at the sky at a 45-degree angle, unmoving. Nguyen blinked her pretty eyes, and then in order, hopped in front of Leon and asked, "Dad, what are you doing?" "Waiting for the dragon courier." "Huh." Nguyen. She finally hopped in front of Risvitha. "Sister, what are you doing again?" "Waiting for the dragon courier." Nguyen. She finally hopped in front of Risvitha. "Mom, you're not also." "Waiting for the dragon courier." Nguyen raised her hand, little palms holding her cheeks. "You're all waiting for the dragon courier, who will make breakfast for Nguyen." 30 minutes later, in the baby room, the family of 4 was having breakfast at the dining table. "Speaking of which, even if the exam results are out, the dragon courier shouldn't be flying over this early," Leon said. "The efficiency of the academy has always been quite fast. When I was in school, I received my results early the next morning," Risvitha added. Hearing this, Leon looked across at Risvitha. "You also graduated from St. High's Academy." "Of course." "So in the future, Noya, should I call you Mom or Senior Sister?" "Ate your meal." Nguyen sat at the dining table, holding a set of utensils specially designed for baby dragons. She looked at her mom and then at her dad before saying softly, "Why?" "After Mom and Dad went to the academy, does it seem like your relationship has gotten even better?" The couple paused in their eating, simultaneously looking at each other. Leon pursed his lips. "Is that so?" Nguyen vigorously nodded. Yes, you never used to joke around during meals." "We usually don't talk during meals or bedtime and only occasionally make jokes. Besides, your dad and I have always had a good relationship." "Hurry and eat, Nguyen," Risvitha said. "I'll go with you." Watching Dad and Sister rush off, Nguyen exclaimed, "They're so enthusiastic." Risvitha patiently cut the bread on the plate into small pieces, spread the strawberry jam evenly, and then handed it to Nguyen. "Dad and Sister are both very dedicated to their studies. Besides, Dad used to be a top student," Risvitha explained. "All that talk about enrolling at 10, graduating at 15, and being the dragon-slaying champion, Leon might as well put up a banner outside Risvitha's door." Nguyen poked at the bread on her plate covered in strawberry jam with a fork, thoughtfully asking, "When will Dad be able to teach Nguyen to study?" Risvitha smiled, indulgently looking at Nguyen. She reached out and gently touched the little head. "Very soon. When Nguyen gets a bit older, you can start learning from Dad." "Really?" The little dragoness's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Yes, really." "Great. To grow up quickly, Nguyen, you need to eat well. Finish your breakfast first." "Okay." Nguyen immediately dove into her meal. Risvitha smiled contentedly, thinking that Leon's care for children was unexpectedly effective. After breakfast, Risvitha led Nguyen to the courtyard. Leon and Noya were still looking up at the sky at a 45-degree angle, waiting for the dragon courier. Indeed, this was the persistence of top students regarding their results. Their determination was impressive. Risvitha waved her hand and instructed the maids to prepare some tea and pastries. The family of 4 ate and waited together. Until the evening, there was still no sign of the dragon courier. Risvitha sighed softly. "I'll go make dinner. Let's eat first and then come back to wait." But before she took a few steps, she heard Leon shout from behind, "Dragon courier, the dragon courier is here." Noya excitedly echoed, "Really, it's really the dragon courier." Risvitha turned around. Sure enough, they saw a dragon courier slowly flying towards the temple and eventually landing in the courtyard. The 4 of them hurriedly ran towards it. A bamboo tube was tied to the dragon courier's back. Leon took the bamboo tube, opened it, and poured an envelope. The envelope was meticulously crafted, with a navy blue base and the family name Melkvi written in gold foil. It was sealed with red wax at the opening, and the emblem of St. High's Academy was imprinted at the end. She passed. Sister is amazing. Mom and Dad are amazing too. Muin joyfully spun around while hugging Noya. Leon handed the letter to Rosvitha. After reading the letter twice, she also revealed a relieved smile. She put down the letter, took a deep breath, and slowly exhaled. Then, she looked at Leon from the corner of her eye. Thank you. Leon stretched his arm. Thank me for what? It's mainly thanks to Noya herself. She's very smart. Can you drink? Rosvitha suddenly asked. Missy nodded. Not really, I'm not a heavy drinker, but I can try it. Okay, let's celebrate tonight. I'll go cook. Yeah. Rosvitha carefully stored the envelope and then walked towards the temple. After a few steps, she suddenly stopped, turned around and asked, Do you want to come help? So you won't say there's no sense of your presence in this house again. Mother Dragon, I find that you have a narrow mind. Leon complained while eagerly following her. After about an hour, dinner was ready. Rosvitha also opened a bottle of aged wine, saying it was stored when she ascended to the Silver Dragon Queen 50 years ago. She poured some for Leon, asking, Is this okay? Leon nodded. Dinner was quite abundant. Rosvitha enthusiastically planned Noya's future school life. No boys are allowed to be brought home, not even girls. She insisted on learning magic well and after graduation, protecting Muin. Noya listened attentively, remembering every word. After 3 rounds of drinks, the 2 little ones returned to their room early, starting their exclusive sisterly confidences. Rosvitha sat in the chair, her gaze slightly hazy, her cheeks flushed. She had drunk quite a bit. It had been a long time since she had been this happy. Taking a brief pause, Rosvitha reached out to pour herself another glass, but Leon stopped her hand from grabbing the bottle. You've had enough to drink, Rosvitha. Why are you concerned about me? Rosvitha said in a daze. Who cares about you? Who will take Noya to the academy tomorrow morning if you drink too much? Why worry? Even if I drink a lot, I can still fly. Leon sighed. In the Empire, if we drink too much, we can't even ride a horse. That's for you humans. We the dragon race aren't afraid. Leon stood up, supporting Rosvitha's arm. I'll take you to the balcony for fresh air, sobering up. Don't stop me, just one more sip. Wait until we've taken Noya to the academy tomorrow, before you drink again. With coaxing and trickery, Leon dragged her to the balcony. Leaning against the balcony railing, Rosvitha felt the cool breeze on her face. Her long hair danced in the night, resembling silver sands. Leon stood by her side, hands in his pockets, thinking of waiting until she sobered up before taking her back to the bedroom. The two remained silent, only the sound of the night wind filling the air. After a while, Rosvitha tilted her head back and spoke slowly. I'm so worried about her. Noya. Yeah, despite being mature and sensible for her age, she's still just a child. She's never left home and lived on her own before. She closed her eyes and continued. Will she remember to do the laundry? Will she be picky with food? Will she have breakfast on time? And in her studies, what if the teachers at the academy are not as good as you? Will she feel discouraged and not pay attention in class? What if she falls ill? Can she go to the doctor by herself? Leon, I'm so worried about her. I'm so worried about her. The wind drowned out the last syllable's sound. She was drunk, her body tilted slightly, leaning on Leon's shoulder. Leon pursed his lips, exerted some force, and freed his wrist from Rosvitha's grasp. Go to sleep, Mother Dragon. HMPH, I'll come just because you call. Do I have no pride left? Only seeking revenge while she was awake would leave a lasting impression. He closed the bedroom's lights and door, and the sound of footsteps gradually faded. As the night deepened, Rosvitha was engulfed by drowsiness and fell into a deep sleep. Soon, the quiet bedroom was filled with her rhythmic breathing. By the way, if this family of wronged individuals knew what would happen at the school opening ceremony 3 days later, there was a specific term in academia to describe their actions tonight: popping champagne. Vol 1ch 48. 3 days later, the entrance ceremony for St. High's Academy unfolded. The young dragons who successfully navigated the Academy's rigorous tests, accompanied by their guardians dragons, gathered in the auditorium, creating a lively atmosphere. Laughter resonated both inside and outside the hall. However, could anyone guess which 3 unfortunate souls couldn't muster a laugh? Leon, Neuer, and Roswitha found themselves on the stage, facing the scrutiny of at least 100 pairs of dragon eyes. Leon, who had always thought being roasted over a fire was an exaggerated way to describe embarrassment, now believed that being roasted might be preferable. A few days earlier, Principal Wilson, who had overseen their interviews, took the stage, enthusiastically introducing them. "Ladies and gentlemen, quiet down, quiet down. Let me proudly present these three, the Melkvi family, who excelled in this assessment. Now, let's hear how they built such a harmonious family in just 2 years." Leon shot a fierce glare at the principal, muttering through gritted teeth, "Old dragon, you've really overstepped." Now, let's rewind an hour. The family of 4 arrived at the academy for Neuer's entrance ceremony with Muin in tow. While settling into the lounge before the ceremony, Vice Principal Wilson unexpectedly knocked on their door. "Congratulations to both of you and to young Neuer for passing the academy's assessment," Vice Principal Wilson said politely upon entering. After a few modest exchanges, the vice principal continued, "Neuer scored almost perfectly in the test 3 days ago. The average score for our entrance exams has been around 80 in recent years. I'm genuinely pleased for both of you to have such an outstanding daughter. The academy hasn't recruited such a talented student in many years. Speaking of which, Neuer is just over a year old, right? She should have just acquired the ability to learn. Besides her innate talent, her tutor must be excellent. What is her tutor?" Roswitha and Neuer looked silently at Leon. Leon licked his lips, adjusted his posture, and said, "No, there's no tutor or anything. I just taught her some basic knowledge, and my daughter is very diligent." "Mr. Leon, you have an extraordinary demeanor, but it seems you don't belong to the Silver Dragon clan. May I ask which clan you come from?" the vice principal asked. "My husband comes from a small tribe, and the people of the tribe were incorporated into the major dragon tribe under their command a long time ago," Roswitha quickly covered for Leon. "I see," the vice principal nodded. "Besides Neuer, I think the two of you probably don't know yet. In the family assessment, you also achieved first place." Upon hearing this, Leon and Roswitha exchanged glances, sitting up straight involuntarily. "Is it true, Principal? Did we also get first place?" Leon asked with excitement. "Yes, Mr. Leon, you and your wife not only performed well in the written test, but also impressed us with your interview." The principal spared no praise. "Your understanding of family and your daily interactions made us feel the true essence of what a family should be." Upon hearing this, the couple was stunned. "A real family. Principal, you truly have a discerning eye. Oh no, you have keen insight to recognize that we are a genuine family." Yes, you're absolutely right. We are a real, harmonious and loving family," he thought. The other families in the interviews, their answers and performances were too idealized, giving a sense of artificiality. The principal sighed, then looked at Leon and Roswitha. "But you're different, Mr. Leon, Miss Roswitha. Your love is very solid, firm and sincere. You must be an incredibly affectionate couple in your daily life, right?" "A couple incredibly affectionate." The principal said they were an affectionate couple. This was truly blinding our dragon eyes. Did I say something wrong, you two? Why do you both look so uncomfortable?" "Oh no, haha, tilde principal, we." Roswitha turned and took Leon's arm, smiling with a raised eyebrow. "We are indeed very affectionate, right, Leon?" "Yes. So," the principal stood up and excitedly said, "Could you please, as representatives of the incoming students, come on stage and give a speech?" Leon and Roswitha. And so, the scene from the beginning unfolded again. "Old pushy dragon, you really know how to impose." Roswitha quickly and discreetly pinched his wrist. His professional habits might become uncontrollable if he didn't tone it down a bit more. Looking at Neuer again, the eldest daughter also stood between them with an expression of lifelessness. She just wanted to enter school quietly, study magic, and then quietly graduate. Why make a family representative go on stage to speak? Why not let someone else do this socially dead thing? The only one who probably escaped this torture was Muin. After all, she stayed below the stage, but Muin was not idle either. She cheered from below, feeling even more excited than the vice principal on the stage. Seeing that this family of 3 was not good at speaking, the vice principal had to smooth things over. "Neuer, you are the youngest examinee in this test, yet you achieved an outstanding full score. This must be closely related to your family education, right?" Noya nodded with a cold expression. Do you have anything you'd like to tell your family? Noya thought for a moment and said, during the period when I was reviewing and preparing for exams, I'm very grateful for Mom's encouragement and my sister's companionship. Upon hearing this, Leon's heart tightened slightly. It seemed like it was going to be the same as the first dinner, not your portion, it seemed. But it didn't matter. The old father was content with hidden merits and fame as long as the daughter could successfully enroll. And also the one I want to thank the most is my father. He gave me a lot of help, so thank him. That's about it. After finishing, Noya turned and glanced at Leon. The old father was on the verge of tears, if not already shedding tears. The vice principal clapped his hands. Well, it seems Mr. Leon's guidance is commendable. Mr. Leon, your daughter is thanking you so much. Don't you want to express something? Leon held back his tears and asked in confusion, how do I express it? Of course, give her a hug and a kiss. Your excellent daughter deserves it, the vice principal said. Hey, cheek kiss is fine, Noya suddenly whispered. Hurry up, kiss her, and quickly end this socially awkward ceremony. Leon quickly hugged his elder daughter amid cheers from the crowd, surprised looks from Risvitha, and excited applause from Muin, gently kissing Noya's cheek. Very lightly, very gently, Noya could clearly feel Leon's cautious restraint. But Leon was also content with it. After all, just a month ago, Noya wouldn't even allow him to touch her. Risvitha, watching this scene, also breathed a sigh of relief. Father-daughter relationship is finally showing some signs of thawing. Moreover, she was relieved that what was said earlier wasn't, kiss me. Risvitha secretly celebrated. Now that you've kissed your daughter, how can you forget your wife, Mr. Leon? Vol 1ch 49. Perhaps slaying the old dragon in the interview 3 days ago was a good choice for Leon. Risvitha stood on the podium, observing the hundreds of onlookers below, eagerly anticipating witnessing the husband of the happiest family of the year kiss his wife. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Risvitha had nowhere to escape. Sigh. In a dilemma, Leon sighed as if helpless. Risvitha squinted at him, suspecting he was about to do something unexpected. Many of you may not know, but my wife and I are both reserved and introverted daily. Even in front of our people, we rarely show affection. However, to live up to the honor bestowed upon our family by the Academy, I will make a bold and rebellious decision today. Leon turned to the almost petrified Risvitha and extended his arm to her. So, in front of all our dragon's kin, I will kiss my wife. As soon as these words were spoken, the cheers and whistles from the audience below were endless. Subconsciously, Risvitha took a half step back, subtly shaking her head. In a voice audible only to the two of them, she said, "You're not really going to kiss me in front of hundreds of dragons, are you?" Although she and Leon had been intimate, they seemed to have never kissed each other, except for that passionate day 2 years ago. And now, not only did it involve a kiss, but it had to be in front of these hundreds of dragons. This was really embarrassing. While Leon approached, Risvitha's cheeks grew even redder. She could have firmly refused, using the excuse of the kids are around, it's not appropriate to brush it off, avoiding an awkward situation. But the next moment, the light in front of Risvitha was obscured, and then a kiss, a warm sensation touched her left cheek, but it lasted only for a brief moment. Although Risvitha was somewhat startled, she could clearly feel that her heartbeat had skyrocketed to an unprecedented speed in that brief moment just now. The shadow in front receded, and the hall lights shone on her face again. Leon took her cold little hand and smiled at the dragons below. This is the only extent, everyone. If you want to see more, I'll kill you. Wow, Daddy kissed Mommy Tilda, Muin clapped and cheered. As for some other single-parent families, witnessing this affectionate scene couldn't help but stir something inside them. However, even though they spoke this way, the young dragons from these single-parent families immediately felt their little hands tightly squeezed. So it turned out adults asked kids not to interrupt when they spoke to preserve the adults' faces. Considering the uproar, Leon looked ahead, smiled and whispered, "Yeah, it feels comfortable, relieved. Thank you, Risvitha." The vice principal stepped forward to wrap things up. "Thank you very much to the exemplary families of this year for bringing us laughter and joy. Everyone, please go down and rest." Leon nodded, leading the still-dazed Risvitha down from the podium, with Noya following closely. The entrance ceremony proceeded as planned. After about an hour, the ceremony concluded. the family of four bid farewell at the college gate. Muin said a lot to her sister, but the main theme was always think of Muin. Noya was about to embark on her college life. The second farewell was with Rosvitha. She wasn't very good at expressing herself, just patting Noya's head. Take care of yourself, Noya. Yes, I will, Mom. After saying that, Rosvitha pinched Noya's cheek with a bit of reluctance and then turned away. But he was facing away from them. Finally, it was Leon's turn. He walked up to Noya, crouched down, aligning his eyes with hers. I might have a lot to say. Do you want to listen? Noya nodded without expression but with seriousness. I want to listen. Remember to regularly take your dirty clothes to the aunties at the dormitory services. They will help you with the laundry. Eat breakfast on time. It's okay to wake up a bit earlier. Otherwise, you'll be hungry during the morning classes. Don't be picky about food. You are growing right now, and all nutrients are essential. If you encounter classmates with a bad attitude, don't provoke them. Try to stay away. And also, regarding studying and classes, if you encounter a teacher you don't like or dislike the teaching style of a particular teacher, try to be patient and listen. If you don't understand, you can ask me when you come home during the holidays. The most important thing is to go to the college clinic if you get sick. Never force yourself. He did have a lot to say, but Noya listened carefully and remembered every word. However, she couldn't help but glance at Rosvitha's back. Compared to Leon, it seemed like Mom's advice was a bit too little. Leon noticed Noya's subtle gesture and smiled, reaching out to pat her head. All of these were things your mom told me a few days ago when she had a bit too much to drink. She felt awkward saying them, so I'm doing it for her. Noya, try to understand your mom. She really isn't good at expressing her feelings. At these words, a rare trace of emotion appeared on Noya's cold and indifferent face. She bit her lip and made a determined sound. All right, what your old man wants to say to you is much simpler. Just be happy, don't stress, of course. Leon looked left and right, then mysteriously leaned close to Noya's ear and whispered, if anyone dares to bully you, don't worry about calling parents or deducting credits. Just hit back and your old man has got your back. Noya held back the corners of her mouth from lifting and asked, was it like this when you were in school back then? Yeah, but every time after played the first half at school, my teacher, your grandfather, would take me home to play the second half. Leon smiled and said, but don't worry, when I'm with you, there's only the first half, no second half. Noya nodded, I remember, I will take care of myself. Yeah, take care, we'll be going now and we'll pick you up next weekend. Goodbye, big sister, don't forget about Mew and Tilda. Yeah, I'll miss you, be good at home, don't cause trouble. I know, Sister Tilda. As the conversation ended, the silver dragon spread its wings, and Leon climbed onto its back, holding Muin. Before taking off, Rosvitha turned one last time to look at Noya. Noya waved her little arms vigorously. Be careful on the way, Mom. The giant dragon nodded slightly, then flapped its wings and soared into the sky. A few days after the entrance ceremony, on a certain night, Rosvitha was bent over her desk, studying the complete guide to blood magic. Blood enchantment, a charm magic that can only be used once in a lifetime. After use, the caster will fall into extreme weakness and exhaustion. Rosvitha's thoughts stirred slightly as she murmured, so Leon was in a coma for 2 years, not just due to severe injuries on the brink of death. The blood enchantment also caused his body to be excessively overdrawn. Just as Rosvitha was about to recall the details of that fateful night, she heard a faint sound coming from the balcony of her room. She set aside the magic book and walked over to investigate. It was her trusted handmaiden, Sherry. Welcome back, Sherry, Rosvitha said. I'm sorry, Your Majesty, I'm incompetent. I haven't found any information related to Teg, or rather, I didn't even find the existence of such a person. Rosvitha frowned. He's just a farmer and has some hunting skills. In the Empire, he's considered an ordinary person. How could he not exist? If the investigation couldn't find anything about the royal nobility, that would be understandable. But as Leon said, his master is just an ordinary old man. Because of this, Rosvitha dared to send her own people to investigate and visit. But how come we couldn't find out anything? Continue the investigation as long as you can ensure your safety. Once there is any news, notify me immediately. Yes, Your Majesty. Sherry's figure flashed as the words fell, disappearing into the dark night. Vol 1ch, 50. The next day, accompanied by the maid team, Rasvitha returned from the border of the Silver Dragon clan's territory. With more than 2 hours left until dinner, she wanted to spend this time with Muin, but when she arrived at Muin's room, she found her little daughter was not there. Rasvitha went to Leon's room again, but that guy was not there either. It seemed like the father and daughter were playing hide and seek. Rasvitha came to the room's balcony, looked towards the training ground in the temple's backyard, and found Leon playing some night game with Muin. They were using the wooden sticks in their hands as sacred swords, vigorously slashing the air. After watching for a while, Rasvitha noticed Muin wildly waving the wooden stick without any particular technique, but Leon seemed genuinely practicing something with precise moves and focused expressions. Seeing this, Rasvitha chuckled. "Your recovery seems good, Dragon Slayer." With that, she turned and left the room, walking out of the temple towards the training ground. "Mama!" When the little dragon girl saw her mom, who had been out all day, she immediately dropped the wooden stick in her hand and ran towards Rasvitha, wagging her tail and the fluffy hair on top of her head. Rasvitha bent down slightly, rubbing Muin's little head. "Did you listen to Daddy at home today?" "Yes, Tilda." Muin is obedient now. Tilda Daddy even taught Muin how to hold a sword. Tilda. "Muin is amazing. How about we make your favorite pan-fried steak for dinner?" "Okay. Yeah, go play." Muin picked up the small wooden stick, joyfully ran to the side, and started playing independently. Rasvitha watched momentarily, then withdrew her gaze and looked towards Leon. He seemed he hadn't noticed her, practicing his slashing moves. Rasvitha took a step forward, and just when she was less than 2 meters away from Leon, there was a buzz. A branch split the air, drawing an arc in the sky, and finally landed steadily in front of her nose. Rasvitha didn't flinch or evade, not even showing a startled reaction. Her gaze calmly ignored the branch close to her, and she looked composedly at Leon. "Do you know how disrespectful it is to point a weapon at me in the Silver Dragon Temple? Since when do you consider a branch a weapon? Oh, weren't you once the strongest dragon slayer? Don't tell me even a leaf in your hands is a deadly weapon. Mother Dragon, if you want to praise, do it properly. What's with the sarcastic tone?" Leon put down the branch and walked to a nearby bench, sitting down. Rasvitha walked over and sat next to Leon. Upon hearing this, Leon raised an eyebrow and asked, why would she feel pressured? "I told her that when Dad was in school, he was a top student. You can see it from the way he teaches you. He used to be very good at studying, won many scholarships and various first places or championships." Rasvitha said, "Noya has a typical dragon mentality, admiring and aspiring to strong individuals. And in her heart, you are just such a strong one." Leon scratched his cheek. I thought she saw her old man as a weak nerd. Rasvitha chuckled, covering her mouth. "No, not at all. She admires you." Snap! Rasvitha took off her high heels, curled her slender legs, wrapped her arms around her knees, and lightly placed her feet on the edge of the bench. "Do you remember those first few days when you woke up, and Noya kept avoiding you, refusing to see you?" Leon nodded. "At that time, I didn't really understand what she was thinking, but what I do know is that during your coma, she would often sneak into the nursery to see you. Occasionally, when I caught her, she would make up excuses, saying she was looking for Muin." Leon clicked his tongue and commented, "Stubbornness and a sharp tongue, that's quite like you." "A sharp tongue, that's more like you, isn't it?" "Well, I've never had a sharp tongue." "Yeah, me neither." Rasvitha lowered her eyelids and continued, "But speaking of it, blood relations, it's sometimes quite magical." "Oh, what do you mean?" "It was during those 2 years when you were in a coma. I was alone taking care of both of them. Sometimes I couldn't handle it, and handing them over to Anna didn't help either. They just kept crying, and no matter how I tried to soothe them, it didn't work. But you know what? No matter how much they cried or fussed, they would immediately calm down when I put them next to you." Leon's heart lifted with hope as he asked, "Is that true?" "Really? Back then, they didn't seem to understand anything, but it felt like they had complete security as long as they were close to you." Rasvitha played with her fingers, took a deep breath, and asked, "Daughters are all very cute, aren't they?" For the first time, Leon agreed so wholeheartedly with Rasvitha, nodding vigorously. Blood relations were like that. Even before they knew it, they were already closely connected. That was a crucial period for children. If a child didn't feel their parents' intense love during that time, even if life became affluent later on, they would always feel like something was missing. That was probably why Leon now spared no effort in loving his daughters. They were the price he paid for a desperate struggle in the past, a cost he willingly bore. Hrisvitha smiled. All right, when Noya comes home on break in a few days, let's prepare a big meal for her. No problem. The last ray of sunlight disappeared on the distant horizon, and night fell. Hrisvitha stretched lazily. All right, let's go back. Oh, wait a moment. What's up? Hrisvitha pointed to the high heels she had just worn on the ground. Help me put on my shoes. What's the matter, not willing? I haven't asked you about the kiss you gave to me during the entrance ceremony. Now you can't even help me put on my shoes. All right, I'll help you put them on. Leon squatted down, lifting Hrisvitha's fair and delicate foot with one hand and holding the high heel with the other, attempting to help her put it on. You're quite skilled at this, Hrisvitha said. Of course, putting shoes on you is much easier than nailing horseshoes onto a donkey. Hrisvitha kicked her foot up, landing a blow on Leon's face. Leon, dodge. Vol 1ch 51. A few days later in the evening, Leon, Hrisvitha and Muin stood in front of the temple, just like a few days ago when they were with Noya, looking up at the sky at a 45-degree angle as if waiting for something. Does the academy really provide transportation back home? Leon asked, looking at the sky. Yes, they've always been very considerate in their services, Hrisvitha said. So how will they bring Noya back? Magical teleportation or... Hrisvitha raised her hand to shield her eyes, squinting at a small dark spot in the distance. No, it's not that advanced. They'll bring the child back the same way we sent her over. Look, it's almost here. Leon followed the direction Hrisvitha pointed out. A small dark spot in the sky was gradually approaching. However, a few minutes later, Leon widened his eyes in astonishment. What was that small dark spot? Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be a dragon of enormous and exaggerated size. Leon made a rough estimate, and the volume of this dragon was at least 5 times that of Hrisvitha. He had never seen a dragon with such an exaggerated size in his past dragon-slaying career. The Leviathan dragon, the largest in the dragon species, despite its massive size, its combat capabilities are low. It serves as a transportation role within the dragon community, with exceptional endurance and, importantly, stable emotions, explained Hrisvitha. Why include the description of stable emotions? Leon asked. Imagine this, 180 lively and playful dragon hatchlings sitting on your back, chattering incessantly, causing a commotion back and forth. Would you keep your composure? Hrisvitha replied. Leon swallowed nervously. I would. That's right, but Leviathans won't. Their emotional management is quite on point. It's said that a Leviathan from birth to death over thousands of years won't even throw a tantrum once, Hrisvitha explained. Leon couldn't help but applaud. Who would have thought there would be such a laid-back type among the naturally combative dragon species? There was a feeling of let it be, it doesn't matter if I die. The Leviathan dragon approached slowly, eventually hovering above the Silver Dragon Temple. Due to its enormous size, the landing was entirely impractical. A magical pillar of light gradually shimmered around the Leviathan, connecting it to the ground. After confirming Noya's safe landing, the Leviathan retracted the magical pillar, and its massive body gradually rose. Finally, it flapped its dragon wings and slowly departed from the Silver Dragon Temple. The flapping of its dragon wings caused a strong gust of wind. When the wind subsided, Muin eagerly ran towards Noya. Sister! The little dragon girl opened her arms and immediately pounced into her sister's embrace, then rubbed her face against Noya's affectionately. Noya pinched the silly tuft of hair on her sister's head and asked with a smile, Missed me? Missed you a lot, did big sister miss Muin? Of course. Yeah. The 2 little dragon sisters walked towards Leon and Hrisvitha, hand in hand, tails hooked together. Noya nodded slightly to Hrisvitha and said, I'm back, Mom. Welcome home, Noya. Then she looked at Leon, I'm back. But her mouth was already forming the beginning of a D sound. But she still hesitated with that address. Seeing her hesitation, Leon quickly intervened to ease the situation. It's good that you're back. Come on, let's eat. Your mom and I have prepared a lot of your favorite dishes. Okay. The family of 4 returned to the house and sat around a table for a long-awaited meal. Noya still instinctively cut the steak for her sister and served her vegetables. But Muin grabbed her wrist. Before Noya could understand what was happening, Muin, in a clumsy yet earnest manner, started cutting the steak for herself. All the delicious dishes on the table were pushed in front of her. "Sister, eat quickly. Mom and Dad said you've been working hard at school, so you should eat more," Muin said. "All right, thank you." Indeed, the right amount of independence could accelerate a person's growth. Well, even though the sister's growth might be temporary, it was still a great step forward. The family ate, chatted, and laughed together. At that moment, it seemed like nobody cared whether the warmth was genuine or put on. But regardless, at this moment, they were a happy and content family. As dinner neared its end, Noya retrieved several report cards from her bag and arranged them on the table individually. "Alchemy and Mechanical Basics, first place," she announced. "Introduction to Magic, Dragon Edition, first place. Dragon History, Dragonlings Upper Level, first place. All-Around Physical Fitness Test, third place." Noya pushed the last report card to the center of the table, her expression tense, and said, "Sorry, Mom, I only got third place in the last subject." Risvitha didn't bother looking at the report cards, addressing Noya. "No need to apologize, Noya. Third place is already impressive." "Yes, sis, Mom's right. In Muin's heart, you're the best," Muin chimed in. Despite the comforting words, Noya's emotions seemed unchanged. Leon glanced at his eldest daughter, then at Risvitha and Muin. Of these two, one wasn't good at expressing emotions, and the other was too effusive. What Noya truly needed wasn't there. Sigh. It seemed the old father had to step in. Leon took the report card, glanced at it briefly, and said, "Oh, it's all about physical training, huh? Running, push-ups, pull-ups." Noya pursed her lips and responded quietly, "Yeah." "You started school too early, Noya. The dragonlings in your grade are at least 4 or 5 years old, taller than you by a head." Leon earnestly analyzed with Noya, "You got a high score in practical combat training, right? Out of 10 opponents, you won 9, the highest win rate in the class. What does that tell us? It tells us that my eldest daughter, maybe not as strong as those little brats, is far ahead in strategy and combat skills." Leon put down the report card. "So you don't need to worry about this third place overly. You've already achieved excellence within your capabilities, and that's more than enough. Many adults can't give their all like you do." After Leon's thorough analysis, Noya's expression finally eased a bit. She hesitated and said, "But I heard Mom say that when you were in school, you were first in every subject." Upon hearing this, Leon couldn't help but raise his eyebrows in satisfaction. It sounded like Noya considered him a role model. The old father was overjoyed. But the current situation wasn't the time for triumphant boasting. "In fact, when I first started school, I wasn't first in every subject either. It was through effort afterwards. Climbing up step by step. So Noya, falling behind isn't permanent. Don't let minor failures dampen your spirits, okay?" "Okay, I understand," Noya replied earnestly. Leon believed that Noya truly took his words to heart. Her personality didn't lend itself to dishonesty. If she said she understood, then she understood. Seeing her sister's mood improve, Muin also approached and grabbed Noya's wrist, asking curiously, Sister, what is practical combat training?" "It's one-on-one combat between two people, sparring with each other until one side admits defeat or falls out of the arena." "Oh, I see, sister, winning against 9 people is really amazing." Muin was impressed by Leon's story, her eyes wide with admiration. "Wow, Daddy is amazing. What about Mommy?" Risvitha squinted her eyes. "What's up, Leon? It's been 2 years since we married and you still want to spar." "I've been wanting to for a long time." The two of them were at an impasse, and it seemed like sparks were about to fly as their eyes locked onto each other. Muin, were they going to fight? Let's go. Vol 1ch, 52. Without further ado, Leon almost forgot what it felt like to fight dragons. While taking care of the kids was important, one must not forget about their primary responsibilities. After agreeing with Risvitha, the next day, they arrived at the practice grounds of the Silver Dragon Sanctuary. The 2 little ones also ran over to watch the battle. "Sister, are you also curious about who's stronger between Mom and Dad?" Muin asked. "Teacher says watching skilled individuals spar improves our combat skills." "Oh, I see." Muin said as she took snacks like jerky and chips from her bag, piling them between her and Noya. Let's eat while watching. Noya smiled helplessly. You really did come prepared. The little dragoness on the side was ready for the spectacle. Looking at the pair on the field, the human and dragon assumed their stances, preparing for a friendly exchange between spouses. Risvitha rubbed her wrist, a playful smile on her face. Speaking of which, your body probably hasn't recovered to the level where you can fight the Dragon King, right? Leon took a bow stance and stretched his legs, warming up for the battle. So what? Opportunities to fight with the Silver Dragon Queen don't come often. Of course, I have to make the most of it. Leon's leg-pressed movement paused. It was better not to mention it. Just thinking about that unreliable armor made Leon's kidneys ache. The master hadn't succumbed to dragonfall, but the armor had fallen to the dragon. Idiot. What was the use of him? He had already taken the shape of Risvitha. Black gold battle armor, unfair. No need, going in lightly is fine. After finishing his leg press, Leon hopped in place several times. Risvitha glanced at her daughters, ensuring they were far enough not to hear her conversation with Leon. Then she looked back at Leon. I'm afraid you won't be motivated if we fight like this. How about we make a bet? What should we bet on? Hee, why are you so eager to hear the terms of losing? It seems like you're quite confident you won't win, Risvitha said playfully. There's motivation in pressure. HMPH, is that so? Well, I won't tell you. Risvitha smiled confidently. How about it, Dragon Slayer? Do you still dare to accept even if you don't know what fate awaits you after losing? Leon's mind twitched. He pondered for a moment, then nodded firmly. All right, I accept this bet. Risvitha was visibly surprised by Leon's courage and audacity. You really dare to accept her? You should know that it's challenging to beat me in your current state, right? If I lose, it's just enduring your various tortures. I'll close my eyes and grit my teeth, and it'll be over. Leon said as he set up a fighting stance, but if I win, I can live carefree for a whole month. In the Empire, we call that a risk investment. Risvitha chuckled. Well, you've got guts, Leon. She really liked this guy's stubbornness, always refusing to admit defeat, looking for opportunities, never letting one's spirit be extinguished. Only someone like this was worthy of being her opponent as the Silver Dragon Queen. Seeing both of them ready for battle, Muin, not far away, jumped off the bench, waving a small flag. Let the battle begin, Tilda. At his daughter's command, Leon pushed off the ground with his right foot, propelling his body forward like a speeding bullet. His velocity was so rapid that it left a trail of afterimages along its path. Leon had already launched a surprise attack on Risvitha as the afterimage materialized again. Leon raised his fist and directed it towards Risvitha's chest. The queen crossed her arms before her chest, intercepting Leon's full-force punch with the intersection point. However, the shockwave and dust raised by the fist spread out on both sides of Risvitha. You're fast, Leon, Risvitha said with an easy smile, a double entendre that Leon couldn't miss. Not fast enough, still a bit stiff, Leon replied. Using his waist and legs, Leon unleashed another burst of strength, forcefully sending Risvitha flying several meters away. After steadying her stance, Risvitha shook her arms. That last hit did sting a bit. Next, it's my turn, she said. With that, Risvitha opened both hands, palms facing up, and in an instant, 2 blazing balls of dragon flame gathered in her hands. She threw the dragon flame towards Leon, who agilely dodged, continuously seeking opportunities to get closer. The dragon flame's attack frequency was high, causing numerous fire explosions on the practice grounds. However, not a single burst of dragon flame hit Leon. He skillfully avoided them all. The final burst of dragon flame whizzed past Leon's cheek, erupting in a dazzling explosion behind him. Leon leapt high into the air and rushed towards Risvitha using explosive force. Comparing speed with the Silver Dragon tribe, Dragon Slayer, that's a bit overestimating yourself, Tilda, Risvitha taunted. Risvitha said with a slight bend, her figure disappearing in an instant. The next second, she appeared by Leon's side like a phantom, and a horizontal swipe of her tail sent him flying. Leon traced a perfect parabola in the air, ultimately landing on the ground. Dad, are you okay? Muin, anxious, crushed the chips in her hand. I'm fine, I was careless, Leon reassured. Muin, holding a chip in her mouth, said with concern, Dad won't be suspended and beaten up by Mom, right? Not to that extent, Leon chuckled. Noya analyzed, in close quarters combat, Mom doesn't have confidence in winning against him. Muan blinked, looking at her sister with confusion. I don't understand, but it looks really impressive. Noya's expression was serious, and her eyes fixed on the two in the training ground. It's impressive, with no unnecessary movements or meaningless consumption. Leon stood up slowly, dusting off the dirt from his clothes. Well, aren't you giving up yet? Risvitha asked. A whole month of vacation is on the line. How can I give up so easily? All right, you old stubborn mule, let me see what else you've got, Risvitha teased. With that, Risvitha once again gathered magical energy. With dragon flame in her left hand and a stream of water in her right, she unleashed these two forces onto the ground this time. In an instant, a thick mist rose, obscuring Leon's vision. He immediately became more vigilant, staying alert to his surroundings. The next second, a wave of energy came from behind. Leon's body instinctively reacted, turning to block, but it turned out to be a feint. Risvitha quickly adjusted her attack posture, leaned down, and swept Leon's legs, causing him to lose balance and fall towards the ground. Before Leon could land, Risvitha used her tail to coil around his legs, sending him flying. Taking advantage of Leon's inability to evade in the air, Risvitha quickly followed up with two bursts of dragon flame. However, just before these two bursts of dragon flame hit Leon, Risvitha manipulated them to collide and detonate prematurely. In the end, Leon was sent flying in two stages solely by the impact force generated by the explosions. Leon would have been quite battered if those two bursts of dragon flame had hit. After all, it was just friendly sparring, and Risvitha wouldn't actually go all out. However, from the perspective of onlookers, Leon did take quite a hit. Noya, that was a brutal combination. Mew and Dad look so pitiful, is Dad going to lose? Leon coughed a few times and climbed back up from the ground. Still not giving up, Risvitha asked with a smile. Leon bent his knees, breathing heavily. Lowering his head, he slowly raised his right hand, saying, "No one can take away my month-long vacation. I want a break. Don't underestimate my determination to take a break, you jerk." Crack. Electricity sparkled in his palm, creating a crisp sound as it interacted with the air. Risvitha restrained her smile and reminded, "Leon, your body might still not be ready for magic, and you might. Watch closely, Mother Dragon. Magic needs to be used flexibly." As he finished speaking, Leon suddenly clenched his fist. The lightning element magic he had just gathered surged into his body, stimulating every muscle, bone, and reflex nerve. Risvitha looked at this scene in astonishment. You, of all people, actually use lightning magic to enhance your body. Indeed, his current physical condition couldn't handle high-intensity magic. However, he could strengthen his body by finally controlling the lightning element, to achieve the goal of suppressing Risvitha in physical combat. Risvitha, let's see if you can keep up with my speed now. Risvitha snapped out of her surprise. Honestly, I don't like speedsters. I prefer you take it slow. As she finished speaking, the figures of the two simultaneously disappeared. Only a blue and a silver shadow could be seen on the field, intertwining, colliding, and chasing each other. Flashes of lightning and sparks illuminated the scene, full of excitement. After several rounds of clashes, Leon finally seized an opportunity, grabbing Risvitha's arms and forcefully throwing her towards the ground. Noya, that was a brutal back throw. Mew and Mom look so pitiful. Is Mom going to lose? Risvitha got up from the ground, patting the dust off her skirt. Leon had also created some distance from her, and it seemed like he was preparing for the final strike. Risvitha knew that his body was starting to struggle with the continuous strengthening of lightning magic. She needed to end the battle as quickly as possible. She could easily win if she continued to drag it out, but she decided to pay homage to the stubborn dragon slayer. Risvitha bent down with a bow, gathering dragon flames in her hand. Leon also took a charging stance, pushing his body to the limits to use lightning magic to its fullest extent. The blue and silver shadows approached infinitely, and in the end, there was no impact or explosion from their collision. Leon's fist was less than a centimeter away from Risvitha's nose. However, Risvitha had already slapped him on the chest. In the final moment, Risvitha withdrew the dragon flames in her hand. This slap didn't cause any harm at all. The final spark of lightning dissipated from Leon's body. His body had reached its limit. Leon closed his eyes unwillingly, breathing heavily and rapidly. You've been amazing, Leon. Your body is not in its peak condition, and you don't have enchanted armor or a suitable weapon. Just relying on physical skills, you managed to hold your own against me. Before you, no one has ever achieved that. Hrysvitha half crouched beside Leon, reaching out to gently wipe the dust off his face. Whether as your fake wife, training partner, or archenemy, I have to admit you're indeed strong. Though defeated, you still have your pride, Dragon Slayer. Well, even though it's a defeat with some dignity. Hrysvitha's lips curled into a mischievous smile. But don't forget our Vol 1ch 53. After waking up, the first thing Leon did was to give some instructions for the future. He looked at his two daughters and spoke with a sincere tone. Noya, after I leave, take care of Muin. She's still young and doesn't understand much. You're her sister, so please look after her. Muin, listen to your sister, don't make her angry. Your sister will come back to spend weekends with you. Behave well at home. What worries me the most as I leave is you two sisters. Both of you are just over a year old. How could your mother bear to let me go? Noya, you're just staying at Mom's place for one night. Why are you making it sound like going to the execution ground? Well, in a sense, going to the execution ground might be happier than going to your mom's room. At least, getting beheaded is a momentary thing. Muin, on the side, listening to Dad's description, suddenly realized and excitedly said, "Oh, I get it. Mom wants to eat Dad, right?" Huh. I read in a book that after praying mantises get married, the female eats the male. Daughter, your mom does want to eat me, but it's not the same kind of eating. And even if she really wants to eat me, why are you so happy about it? Dutiful daughter, without your filial piety, how can Dad sleep well? All right, don't talk nonsense with the daughters, making it seem like I'm scary. The lazy voice of Hrysvitha came from behind. Leon's back chilled, and he turned his head embarrassedly. The silver-haired beauty leaned against the door, arms crossed. I just felt like it wanted to discuss some interesting things with you tonight. Leon's eye twitched slightly. Interesting things. Yes, like the birth of the universe. Leon, the birth of life, right? Hrysvitha, the mysteries of the world. Leon, the mysteries of the human body, perhaps. Anyway, you have 5 minutes to say goodbye to your daughters. Farewell, what a unique choice of words. Hrysvitha smiled, waved gently, and turned into her room. Leon sighed, turned around and patted Muin's little head, wanting to say something but hesitating. Saying too much would only bring tears. So with the puzzled eyes of the two little ones, Daddy walked into Mommy's room. His back was determined, resolute, and even a bit of a gallant spirit as if facing death. Muin blinked her beautiful big eyes. What are Daddy and Mommy going to do? Noya took Muin's hand. I don't know either. Let's just go with the flow, childish adults. Leon walked into Hrysvitha's room. The lights were not turned on in the evening, and the blood-red sunlight streamed through the curtains, filling the living room. Hrysvitha poked her head out from the kitchen doorway, the tap running as if she were cleaning something. Oh, so soon, have a seat. I'll wash 2 cups and be right there. Leon didn't respond, quietly walked to the living room and sat on the sofa. On the coffee table in front of him were the answer sheets they used for the empathy test some time ago. It didn't seem like she forgot to put them away, but rather she would occasionally take them out to look. Leon sighed, turned around and patted Muin's little head, wanting to say something but hesitating. Saying too much would only bring tears. So with the puzzled eyes of the two little ones, Daddy walked into Mommy's room. His back was determined, resolute, and even a bit of a gallant spirit as if facing death. Muin blinked her beautiful big eyes. What are Daddy and Mommy going to do? Noya took Muin's hand. I don't know either. Let's just go with the flow, childish adults. Leon walked into Hrysvitha's room. The lights were not turned on in the evening, and the blood-red sunlight streamed through the curtains, filling the living room. Hrysvitha poked her head out from the kitchen doorway, the tap running as if she were cleaning something. Oh, so soon, have a seat. I'll wash 2 cups and be right there. Leon didn't respond, quietly walked to the living room and sat on the sofa. She held the wine glass, took a sip and continued, Actually, I was hoping you would win. Leon was shocked, looking at her. Why? If you had won, I would have had to give you a month off. During that month, you could have taken good care of yourself. When you're in better shape, it'll be even more fun, Tilda. She sighed with disappointment. Oh well, it's a pity that the former dragon slayer, the strongest of his time, still lost to me. As she spoke, Rosvitha made a scissor gesture with her hand, twice nonetheless. Leon attempted to defend himself. The first time I was ambushed and yesterday's match, I wasn't in good condition. No worries, come a few more times in the future. My favorite part is seeing you refuse to give up even after defeat. Leon didn't want to continue the conversation with Rosvitha. He placed the wine glass on the coffee table. All right, just do whatever you need to do. Wow, in such a hurry to be tormented by me. Rosvitha smiled lightly and glanced at the wine glass on the coffee table. Aren't you going to drink? I won't. But I want you to drink, Leon. Leon glanced at Rosvitha, knowing that this statement was Rosvitha's final warning. She would resort to more drastic measures if he continued to defy her. After some thought and to make tonight more bearable, Leon slowly reached out to take the glass of wine. Wait, it's too late. I don't want you to drink this wine now. Then what do you? Splash. Rosvitha poured the wine in her hand all over her chest. The crimson liquid flowed through the contours of her peaks and valleys, saturating the nightgown and submerging the dragon pattern. She laughed, turned around, and sat on Leon's lap, extending her arms to embrace his neck. Drink it, all of. The fragrance of Rosvitha and the rich aroma of wine wafted into Leon's nostrils. It was exquisite, intoxicating. The faintly revealed dragon tattoo began to shimmer faintly with light. Rosvitha eagerly leaned towards Leon's mouth again. Drink it all, Leon. Leon, once again, had nowhere to escape and slowly leaned forward. Open your mouths. What are you doing? Open. Unable to resist her, Leon obediently opened his mouth slightly. Rosvitha suddenly bit her lip, and a drop of blood slowly descended, landing accurately in Leon's mouth. I remember it very clearly. Yes, that's right, the enchantment of blood. Recently, I've been studying and researching this enchantment. Although it can only be used once in a lifetime, I can't wait to repay it in kind. Leon swallowed hard and said thoughtfully, Don't blame me for not reminding you, Mother Dragon. Besides the limitation of only being able to use the enchantment of blood once in a lifetime, there's another drawback. The caster will be in an extremely weakened state after releasing it. You should think it over carefully. Rosvitha smiled calmly. Of course, I know. However, the extent of weakness also depends on the caster's physical condition. With that, she used her index finger to gently wipe away the alcohol at the corner of Leon's mouth. Your tattered body back then surely couldn't withstand the backlash of the enchantment of blood. But I'm different. I am the Dragon King, and the enchantment of blood has almost no effect on me. So, my dear Dragon Slayer. Rosvitha stood straight, cradling Leon's face and making him look into her eyes. In those silver pupils, ripples of affection gradually spread. The game has begun, my delicious captive, Mr. Leon Casmode. Vol 1ch 54. After falling under the spell of the blood, Leon was well aware of the increased initiative one could take. After all, he had first-hand experience 2 years ago. Little did he know that, 2 years later, Rosvitha would execute a 2-level reversal, swapping their roles between attacker and defender. Locked in by the enchanting waves of affection, Leon's initially tense body relaxed instantly. The dragon tattoo on his chest began to resonate. Rosvitha's nightgown, a light, thin fabric, emitted a faint purple glow, outlining her perfect contours with an enticing perspective. With a triumphant smile, Rosvitha reached out to pinch Leon's nose. In the past, I forced you, threatened you, but soon you'll be as proactive as a clingy little puppy, begging me, coaxing me to have something happen with you, Tilda. Her fingertips traced down Leon's nose, lips and chin, and finally rested on his chest. What will you do, brave and fearless dragon slayer? Can you control yourself in a moment? As the glow of the dragon tattoo on Rosvitha's chest intensified, Leon knew he was about to be captivated. Clutching his fists, nails lightly piercing his skin, he tried to stay conscious through the sensation of pain. However, it was a futile effort before succumbing. In Leon's eyes, Rosvitha transformed from a cunning dragoness into his adorable and delicate wife. She was so beautiful, so enchanting. All the positive words used to describe her were not an exaggeration. So wanting to hug her and kiss her became one with her. Rustling, Leon released his fist, his hand gliding smoothly up Rosvitha's leg, brushing over the warm knee hollow, sliding over the silky nightgown, and gently embracing her waist. Staring at those tempting lips, Leon got closer and closer. Rosvitha responded slowly. The next moment, he could feel Rosvitha's warm breath brushing against his face. However, suddenly a cold sensation touched his lips. Rosvitha lightly pressed her index finger against his lips. With a charming smile, she asked, "Do you want to kiss me?" Leon's pupils trembled, weakly responding, "Want." "How much do you want?" "So much is so much. But I won't let you kiss." Rosvitha seemed not in a hurry to move on to the next step. She enjoyed teasing Leon with this method, making the fiery desire within him burn even more fiercely. Suddenly, Rosvitha raised her right hand, a glow transforming into a mirror. Leon glanced at the mirror, his breath heavy. "What is this?" "It's a magical item that can temporarily record a scene. I bought it the last time I went to Sky City." Placing the mirror on the back of the sofa, Rosvitha said, "Now, my dear dragon slayer, do you want to kiss me?" This dragoness seemed intent on recording his embarrassing moments to torture him later. Leon's remaining reason wanted him to speak up and reject. However, the enchanting power of the blood enchantment was something even the original Rosvitha couldn't resist, let alone him. The idea of getting closer to Rosvitha was like a poisonous thorn deeply rooted in Leon's mind, constantly stimulating him. So, even though he resisted in his mind 1,000 times when it came to saying it out loud, it turned into, "I want to kiss you, really want to kiss you, Rosvitha." Just saying it with your mouth won't cut it. You have to ask, coax, make me happy, and then I'll allow you to kiss me. "Please, Rosvitha, I beg you." Rosvitha hooked her arm around his neck, leaned in close, and their silver and black eyes locked. They could even see their reflections in each other's pupils. "So this is how you beg a girl, HMPH. Well, after living for 20 years and only knowing how to fight, it's quite a challenge for you to try and make me happy." Rosvitha gently breathed on Leon's face. The delicate fragrance from the beauty's breath brushed over his face, stirring his restless heart. Leon unconsciously tightened his embrace around Rosvitha's waist, attempting to kiss her again. However, Rosvitha tilted her head slightly, revealing her slender, fair, swan-like neck. Leon couldn't continue moving upward, so he could only reach Rosvitha's neck, but at this point, just being able to touch her satisfied Leon. Leon kissed Rosvitha's neck as if he had found a treasure, and his lips could even feel her pulse. Rosvitha lifted the hair from her chest, giving Leon more space to maneuver. She laughed unabashedly. "Look at you now, Leon, how disheveled you are. To kiss a dragoness, you've thrown all your principles out the window. Can you still live up to the pride and dignity of being a dragon slayer?" Leon's movements paused. This was his remaining sanity, momentarily reclaiming control over his body. However, it was just a moment. He grabbed Rosvitha's wrist, brought her index finger to his mouth, and then opened his mouth to bite. The bite wasn't forceful. He just desperately wanted some physical contact with Rosvitha. Rosvitha made a soft hissing sound, and her brow furrowed slightly. She chuckled lightly, turned off the recording magic, and picked up the red wine that hadn't been finished with her other hand. She tilted her head back and drank it all in one go. After drinking, Rosvitha sighed with relief. She pulled her fingers out of Leon's mouth and embraced his shoulders again. "Come on, Leon, my little puppy, let me see the true face of your corruption." The purple ethereal light became even more enchanting, and Leon was completely immersed in the beautiful trap set by Rosvitha. Deeper and deeper he fell. In a trance, his memories seemed to return to 2 years ago. In that dark and damp dungeon, he met Rosvitha for the first time. It was as if fallen prisoners were seeking forgiveness from a saint. Perhaps from the moment they looked at each other, the gears of fate had already begun to turn. Everything was already predestined. Vol 1ch 55. Leon slowly opened his eyes. In front of him laid a beauty, lying on her side, breathing in sync with him, closed at hand. The morning sunlight spilt onto Rosvitha's silver hair, resembling pristine snow in winter, pure and immaculate, making it difficult to disturb. With her eyes gently closed, long, distinct eyelashes, and the absence of the usual sorrow on her delicate face, she appeared incredibly relaxed and content. Gazing at the beauty before him, Leon unconsciously reached out in a trance, using his fingertips to brush across her cheek gently. The corners of his mouth even involuntarily lifted into a slight smile. However, the next moment, Leon's smile suddenly froze. He immediately realized that such a cozy morning did not belong to him. Leon's fingertips lingered on Rosvitha's chin. He lifted the strands of hair next to it, revealing Rosvitha's neck. On this fair swan-like neck, there were all red marks of kisses. Seeing this scene, Leon couldn't help but swallow hard. Lifting the covers further, Hrisvitha's shoulders, chest, and thighs were also covered in kiss marks. It was even more intense than that night with the long Dali. Looking down at his own body, there were plenty of strawberry-shaped marks and kiss marks, and his limbs were weak, muscles sore. These marks and sensations brought back fragments of memories of the events from last night for Leon. He couldn't remember the details of the entire process. He only vaguely remembered Hrisvitha calling him a little dog, and he cheerfully responded. Moreover, he was quite proactive last night, almost like an impatient newlywed husband. Presumably, Hrisvitha had thoroughly enjoyed herself last night. She successfully leads Leon to fall willingly, abandon his pride and dignity as a dragon slayer, and join her, a mother dragon, in the moment's passion. For Leon, this was undoubtedly another instance of breaking through his limits, another shameful experience. Contemplating this, Leon angrily bit his lower lip, unwillingly clenched his fist, and then threw off the covers, getting up from the bed. He purposely made a lot of noise, hopping to wake up Hrisvitha. However, it seemed like this mother dragon was sound asleep. Even though Leon made a significant commotion, there was no sign of her waking up. "Sleeping in this state is quite rare. Aren't you usually quite disciplined?" mumbled Leon as he dressed. Leon grumbled while getting dressed. Looking at the mess in the room, Leon hesitated for a moment, then picked up a broom and started cleaning. He did this not because Hrisvitha liked cleanliness, but because he worried his daughters might come over later. Seeing the messy scene, they would inevitably ask questions. And it would also tarnish the purity of the children's innocent minds. What did they understand? They were not allowed to understand. This made Leon feel quite embarrassed. So Leon started cleaning up and down, especially the sofa and bed, which are critical areas. Apart from being extremely messy, some traces of an unknown liquid were on them. This definitely needed to be cleaned up, otherwise it would be annoying to look at. When it came time to change the sheets, Leon poked Hrisvitha's buttocks with the handle of the broom. "Hey, stop pretending to sleep. Get up, I need to change the sheets." But Hrisvitha didn't respond at all. There wasn't even a reluctant groan indicating she didn't want to get up. She just lay there peacefully. Leon frowned, feeling that something was not right. He put down the broom, sat on the edge of the bed, and gently pushed Hrisvitha's shoulder. "Hrisvitha, hey, wake up, stop pretending." But there was still no response. Leon's eyes moved slightly, and he immediately reached out to check Hrisvitha's breathing. He also held her wrist to feel her pulse. Everything seemed normal. Now, if Hrisvitha was in a coma and would not wake up, could it be due to the effects of the blood enchantment? Leon felt that this speculation was highly probable. Back in school, the academy taught similar courses. Based on the effects of a magic spell and the different conditions of the caster and the target, making reasonable predictions about the outcome. Leon had used a similar approach before when using precise control of lightning magic to break down Dragon Great Strength's medicinal residue. He looked at Hrisvitha's sleeping face and chuckled. "You claimed the blood enchantment wouldn't affect you, foolish dragon," Leon remarked, bending down to gently pat Hrisvitha's cheek. "Looks like things have taken a turn for the worse." Having faced numerous setbacks, from slipping away right after waking up to soloing a full-health Dragon King with a body on the brink of death, every attempt ended in a predictable disaster. Now, it was Hrisvitha's turn. Despite his satisfaction in her misfortune, Leon couldn't ignore the fact that she might be unconscious for a considerable time. Reflecting on his experience, he knew a healthy Dragon King body would likely be out for about a week. A week, Leon mused as he descended from the bed, strolling towards the balcony and gazing into the distant mountains, the direction of the Empire. Undeniably, Hrisvitha's unexpected coma presented an ideal opportunity for Leon to escape. However, he wasn't as reckless as he was a month ago. His body, although recovering, sustained some injuries in yesterday's sparring session with Hrisvitha and the encounters with the mother dragon. Running to the human territory within a week seemed ideal, but practical considerations made it uncertain. Furthermore, Leon had no information about the current state of the Empire he left 2 years ago, nor had he fully understood the betrayal he faced back then. Returning to the Empire could mean a grand welcome or another ordeal. Considering his safety, staying at the Silver Dragon Temple to recover seemed the best option. His daughters were the most crucial factor. Muin, the younger one, would be devastated, and Noya, though seemingly distant, craved family warmth. Leon's love for his daughters, stemming from his blood, wouldn't waver under any circumstance. So for himself, his daughters, and the chance for revenge against the mother dragon, Leon chose to stay. Walking back to the bedroom, Leon sat on the bed, looking at Rosvitha. His gaze shifted from that of a false husband to that of a dragon slayer watching over a dragon king, awaiting its fate. In the minutes and seconds to come, I will be by your side, Rosvitha, Leon declared. You always liked an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Well, this time I'll give you what you desire. For a dragon slayer, a dragon was the ultimate trophy, unafraid and ready for the final battle. Who says staying in the Silver Dragon Temple doesn't make you a hero? Leon thought.